Hello. No more startup noises unless I lather my chair with WD-40. I'm not opposed to doing it. I just don't think that's what I need to do. Anyway. Oh no, there's a startup noise. Anyway, there we go. The final. The King League. The best. The very toughest. Case class of what happens if you play after you die a couple times. Exhibit A. Well, alright. Sand Ocean, you'd think... The map does not tell you how awful Sand Ocean is, because look at these little in-betweens. Someone's been pushing too hard. Sand Ocean, if I had to name this track, it'd be Squeezing the Toothpaste. Because that's what it looks like. Here, though, I don't know. Beads? We can call those beads. We can get all the freaking beads. All of the beads that is fit to wear. You ever played Moncala? I didn't realize it was like just a sort of simpler backgammon. Because, I mean, kinda. It does kinda remind me of backgammon a little bit. Because it is a little bit of backgammon. And not as much backgammon as backgammon is. Back-to-back gammons. Oh, sand ocean, with your many oceans of sand. That's what you have today. If we can work all together, we put in the sand. Let me tell you how my week's gonna go. Alright. I don't like when people make plans and it's like 24-hour less notice. It's like, oh, cool, because, you know, dude didn't respond until like the last minute, and now, okay, you know, like I'm supposed to just tell everyone that I'm just there. It's like, okay, cool, what are we doing? Oh, is it a surprise voiceover of something I don't really care about anymore? Because it's been like a year by this point? Maybe. Maybe. Honestly, I wish it stopped because, as far as I know, that's going to go on forever. And I don't, I'm kind of done. I really am. Seriously, I have no contract in this. I want them to stop doing it. Get someone else. This is not what I thought it was going to be like. It was just like, oh, that sounds funny. But then you get to, like, round 4, and you're like, oh, how many rounds of this are there? Oh, a few dozen? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really feeling it anymore, is what I'm trying to say here. You know, the worst part, if it gets popular, I'm going to have to own up and say something about it. And I really don't know. I think I'm going to just, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll talk to some buddies. We'll wrangle up it and such. Yeah. I don't know if I can be regarded as a companion in the way some people expect me to be, but some people expect me to be, regardless of whatever their viewpoints are, which is a problem. I mean, it really is. And it's not the first time either. I've moved among very different groups of people in my time. Lots and lots. At least a few dozen. Like, if we were to measure, like, a group of people as, like, 5 people or more. So yeah, at least a dozen. And a few of them I can't really visit anymore due to circumstances of just it being too far away. Like, yeah, part of that is travel, obviously. Part of that is some areas I don't even want to be a part of anymore. And then other excuses, you see, are actually just people disbanding that technically might not have something to do with me. I mean, maybe it does, but I don't know. I don't know if I was the glue or not. Deathwind is horrible. It's good to get your shit together, air out the laundry when you have to deal with Deathwind, because maybe the wind can blow all your worries away, including your lives. At least we have a second pit stop. That's cool. I love second pit stops. I don't know. Yeah, I tell you what, let's talk about fear. Or my fear. I have many fears in life.
Besides the obvious ones, I mean. What are some obvious ones? You know, like deadly animals, things that cause death, diseases that cause death. I'm not talking about like stuff everyone agrees that, yeah, you should be afraid of that. I'm talking about like other stuff that may not be glossed over, such as like, you know, the fragility of life. Or, I guess that's related to death. But what I mean is, when you have to raise somebody. I guess fear of fatherhood? Is that what we're going with? Yeah. It might seem a little glossed over to my taste, though, and I don't know if enough people talk about it because they think. Because usually in that case, I'd imagine someone's overconfident, which is also bad. I don't. But if they worry too much, they end up in like my position where I can't even. Yeah, it's like, you know, oops, broken the baby, like physically and mentally for the rest of life. It's like that's what I'm afraid of. You make one little mistake in raising someone, then they're just affected for the rest of their lives, and you don't know what to do about it because some shit in life is irreversible. So that's one of those. You know what another one is? I guess exile, but not so much exile as banishment in terms of like, you know, one person's gonna have a beef with me, and then like they get a whole party to be like, okay, I did this one thing. Time for everyone to disavow me forever. Like the Klingons would do. They do that whole disavow ritual where he's just like, okay, I have no honor anymore. But it's not like that. Well, not in a violent sense at all. But yeah, you know, people you know that you network with just aren't meant to sometimes be together, or you just don't want to be like. It's stupid because you don't really have a good reason. You just get the sense that maybe you should just go off somewhere, and they want a reason, and you can't explain to them why because you're not sure yourself. You just it's stupid because this goes outside of my logic part of my brain. It goes right into the intuition part, and the intuition part sometimes is okay, but I like to think it's going by off like my lizard brain, which is just warning me about stuff I don't understand on a low-level basis. Like, the lizard brain is like the hexadecimal ASM code of the brain. Where the higher functioning stuff is like where you have, you know, your Python, your Java, your C++, your Perl, your Ruby on Rails. I'm not even know that. PHP, yeah. So your high-level orientated stuff. And some people are just different enough that they have a Lisp. And that's the joke. A joke about Lisp as a programming language. Haha. Far be it from me from having ill-defined code, but I have some things to say about that. Well, yes, but also not in a voice. Maybe I should just write about it at one point. But yeah, and then, you know, if you put yourself out in another group, and there's just like, yeah, I'm gone now, we don't need to see each other anymore, and then it's like, well, you're worried they come after you, and that's basically the entire problem with social media, is you can't get in and out because everyone knows who you are, or that knows you, knows where you'll be, and it's not even because you gave out too much information. No, it is precisely because you give out not enough information that you become suspicious, and then people want to search information on you, so you have to leave some amount of breadcrumbs to be like, okay, leave me alone now. That's kind of how I am with some things when it has nothing to do with my activities as Game Wolf. Is just real person stuff. Well, real person. I am a real person. I just mean, like, when was the last time you went online to talk to someone you met in real life when you'd rather just talk to them in real life? You know, you got your offline friends and your online friends. Sometimes, if you're lucky, both. Like, maybe your offlines become your onlines, and your onlines become your offlines, and shit's all topsy-turvy. Well, in some cases, it might not even be because of you, or you're not the target. Someone else becomes the target because of you, and that just would make me feel worse. and for some people, they probably had a choice when they went in with the wrong crowd, but I wouldn't say I did. It's tough to say when that's like before you're of age. This track is sucking all my energy out because of all the swishes.
all the various amounts of swishes and swashes. Do I have other fears? Well, I used to have this weird one, but that turned out to be a hallucination. It was like about the, I had this thing about leaving the screen off because I thought it wasn't completely off ever. So I thought some part of it was still on. Yeah, it was a little more stupid than that, but that's the basic gist of how it makes sense to me now. Whereas when you're a kid and you have fears like that, they don't make any sense. So it still kind of doesn't. And I've gotten over it a long time ago. I just thought it was a weird fear I had. So maybe I should just keep it limited to fears I have right now. Okay. I guess fear of losing oneself. Yeah. You ever dissociate? You know what dissociating is? Kind of. Well, imagine you're like daydreaming, except you're not. You just, a few moments pass, and somehow you didn't perceive the time being passed. So much so that you crash into the wall, and have to start the game over. Or no, you have to start the track over. It's bad. And I should feel bad for crashing. Crashing's bad. Don't ever develop highway hypnosis on F-Zero. Oh, but we don't have to worry about hydroplaning because these are hovering vehicles. I should know that. I've raced it on Big Blue several times now. All those Big Blue races prepare you for the water. Although, yet it still affects your friction, so what's the deal with that? Why does friction affect hover vehicles? What makes you think that makes sense? Me thinks some sort of magnetic rails. I don't know. This isn't a future I grew up in. It's the future we all believed in. The future we didn't know about. Sometimes you're just in the wrong timeline. And the wrong line to the time, even though you're in the right time, just without the line. So it's all squibbly squabbly, squirmy wormy. Wibbly wobbly. Timey wimey. The time ball of wibbly wiminess. Oh yeah. Used to explain away a number of atrocious writing mistakes. You know who you are. Oh, Captain Falcon, with your many turns. So, this is gonna sound a bit strange, but, oh wait, no, let me go back to the dissociation talk. So, although the dissociation is also related to a secondary fear, we'll get into it when I talk to you about dissociating, but yeah, you're just kind of gone, and, sometimes it happens to me when I'm actually very focused, which it did not happen in this run of F-Zero, because if it did, I would not have reacted in the number of ways that I had. I'd just be on edge. But no, I enter, like, the zone. You know, the zone? How do I describe that? You're just suddenly moving without thinking. But you are thinking. It's just, you're moving at the speed of thought without explaining it. And I've had that sort of inner schematic since I was born. Or at the very least since, like, the age of 3 when motor skills had become relevant. You know, you're not, like, stuck in the crib kind of age. So basically toddlerness. Yeah, basically the age of toddler. Yeah. Because you can't say you're just born that way and be like, yeah, the newborn has many abilities. Like, no, it takes just a little bit. Like, have some amount of growth first. Just a little bit. So you can do, like, things with your hands and feet and crawl around like it's the best skill you've ever had in the world. Yeah. And a lot of these things can happen, and I have no memory of them. But what's interesting is now that I record some of these and I see these things happen, I wonder what I myself was thinking at that time as I talk over it. So yeah, the fear of dissociation is kind of like a fear of lost time, a fear of a loss of self-control, you know? And there's a different element of self-control, which goes into a different fear, just like with what dissociation can do, is just
weakness, fatigue. Those are very legitimate fears that I don't think you talk about long enough, because usually people only worry about it when they're of old age, but when it just happens when you're young, you have to wonder, you know? And methinks it may have something to do with lots and lots of neglect, honestly. In fact, all that neglect is probably I don't talk to many people, as I should. Because I've just had enough. Or I'll just be like, oh yeah, he'll friend anybody. No standards on that guy. But it's like, what do you do? And it's just like, nothing happened wrongly. Or, I'm not going to win this one. I can already tell you that. He's not going to win. How can he move up? It's never too good. But yeah, fear weakness, like, you just don't have the strength. Like, that also goes in, like, to will. Like, a weak will? That's very bad. Yeah. Or you just be out of breath in seconds. And no, you do not have to be overweight to be out of breath. You know that's not what I mean. Just for whatever reason, most of my life, I just feel like I've just been, like, broken several... Not really broken, but just, like, tattered in several places. Figuratively and symbolically and somewhat literally. How do you tatter oneself without it involving clothes, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. So that's what a loss looks like when you do not finish third. Or up. Because that's where it shows I ranked out. Ranking out at the very end, so that's where the length of this video is, just because of all that. I'm practically doing the track over again. Oops. Artificial ad of time. Yep. But with that lack of control and weakness, or just, you know, not even being able to do things that you think you can do, that's where you have to let the failures come in. Because if you do not let yourself fall, well, don't literally fall. Like, don't actually fall down on the ground. That could hurt. But if you don't let yourself fall or get descended, like feel down, without actually going down. I mean, you're going down, but I don't mean, like, your body's not going to be on the floor. But in that sense, when I feel like I'm going down, you know, you can apologize or you can just harp on about it, because the only solution is to just keep going. And some of that is just a matter of, you know, I only have so much time on this earth, so to me, if I was old, I don't think being patient would make sense. I imagine an old person, if I was an old person, you could say however old I am, that I'd be less and less patient over time. And especially since a lot of people don't think about existentialism, and that's what, I don't know if that makes me above you, but it does make me worry about you. I don't think worrying about death makes you superior. I think worrying about death makes you not want to relate to anybody. Because if they're not worried about it, then you wonder if they're insane. And that's not really a point of, that could be a point of no return from that. I think about it all the time, though, when people are in such good moods, or even bad moods. Because death is the great equalizer. You know? I attribute many of the problems today with people who just haven't seen their time yet. And it, you know, robbing the youth who are now going to possibly repeat that problem by being as much of a dick as when they get as old as their perpetrators did far in the future of, say, somewhere by 2050, I think. Yeah, it's gonna be a real hoot there. That whole Y2K stuff was nothing. We're going far, far in the future, babe. Although I do gotta say one thing. How is it our predictions of the future are just incredibly, incredibly wrong? Like, we have all these cool ideas in movies, but, like, hell, even in, like, the 80s, there is movies predicting about stuff that would happen in the 80s or 90s that definitely did not come to pass. We do not have hoverboards. We do not have a number of things. We definitely don't have jetpacks. There's no jetpacks. Although, to be fair, jetpacks are a problem with physics anyway. But why we shouldn't have hover cars when it... Well, okay, I'll tell you why we don't have hover cars. Imagine people's driving routines and then apply that to being in the air. So many people would crash and burn. Every day. But when's the last time you heard of a private helicopter crashing? I don't know, because they hire a professional to deal with that stuff. All the time? Yes, all the time we do it. And this is how we go. And we speed up. And they slow down. And I speed up. And they slow down. And they go right into my back. And my back hurts. If that is what you want. Falcon, 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 Captain, Falcon. But yeah, the fear of weakness. Yeah. I think about it more and more as I realize that I wonder how much personal strength I have if I have to depend on money in order to just like go to get a good gym membership or just like be fit. Like being fit costs more to people than you might think. Oh sure, if you're just like interested in being like, you know, having the figure of like a Barbie doll or something. Oh yeah, there's plenty of ways for you. Just like don't eat. Oh great, yeah, that sounds like fun. Just don't do stuff. But what if I want to do stuff and I want to be more mobile and just like being able to move shit, or just feel like I can't be taken down by anything when I just want to continue to play video games as much as I do? Well then what? Then it feels like you depend on like companies to sell you their proper nutrition. You depend on companies to get you the right workout plans. You depend on companies to get you the right equipment, because if you're lifting heavier and heavier, well, how are you going to put that together and find the stuff that's heavy enough, right? Or get as much stuff as you can to get it moved in where you can just deal with it regularly, right? Unless you just go to a gym, but then you have to deal with other people, which, okay, not so bad, until you realize not many people are sanitary up close. This is one of the reasons I don't go to conventions anymore. The other one being it was just a soulless cash grab. Oh sure, it seems fun, and then you're like there's money to get in, and then there's like money to actually do the things that make a convention worth being at, like talking to people, and I don't know. There was people that reeked at that convention, and I'm just like, why? How can you not know? How can you not know? It doesn't help because I have a strong sense of smell. So I knew that was somebody. I'm never going to figure out who that somebody was. There's just too many people. But someone was reeking like crazy, and they were there for a number of hours. That I'm sure of.
But yeah, it's like, if it's just for like people to spend money on, it's like, that just makes it a glorified store that happens once a year. I do not see fun in that, I'm afraid. Not to mention how they, like, I don't know. I feel like they trash the retro gaming side of it, too. I'm just like, hey, man, I'm trying to show you how this stuff works. Like, the people who brought an Apple II had never worked it before. And then me and my wife go in there, and we, like, have as much fucking fun as we can with that thing, because we know what we're doing. Like, I've actually used an Apple II before. I know how they work. Well, to some degree. It was enough to play Carmen Sandiego and Oregon Trail. You know, the parts that matter. How, I suppose if I worked on it long enough, maybe I would have tried to get Load Runner going on it. But yeah, an Apple II is not really that hard to use. You just need the manual, and the manual will send you far. Like, really far. I guess people just look down on reading manuals? Luckily, I've never had that fear of reading. Like, those terms and services and conditions, and like the EULAs, and like those legal terms. I read those. I think I'm one of 1,000 people, 100 people on the planet that actually reads those. And it's funny in some cases because some of them are clearly going against the spirit of the law, and they're just like, oh no, if you sign this contract, it's like, yeah, some of them will go against you even if it is part of the contract, because that'd be stupid if a contract involved illegal activity.
And it's like, no, it's okay, I put it in writing. It's like, no, just because you wrote it doesn't mean it's law. A lot of other people have to write it first, not just you two guys. You know, peer review and all that crap. Not a review of one single peer and that's it. Yeah, peer review would be so bad if it wasn't so, like, monetarily owned. So, what seems like is just going to be, like, people of, like, equal stature is totally not. They either have not a lot of money or way more money, and whoever decides is the best is, well, that's just it. Whoever is deciding who the best is in a particular field cannot be totally unbiased, and that's a problem. That's a problem that many repetitions in science hope not to repeat, and yet do so anyway. Oh, here's another fear. Fear of loss of information. Or just media. You know, we have archive.org for that, but I'm just imagining old video games being deleted forever, not coming back, and that does happen. You'd never know about it, though, because they no longer exist in your time. Or maybe you did. But part of it is that, you know, people weren't actually giving you a game. They were selling you the right to play it on their machine. So, basically, it's like landlords apply to the digital landscape. And that's no good. Especially if, you know, you take it down, it's like, but I pay for this. It's like, no, it was never yours in the first place. And you're just like, why am I... Because you think it's fun and all your friends are playing it, and that's just what it is. Fear of you being used against us. You know, the power of friendship didn't realize it's being subverted into the power of cronyism. I wonder if people realize this. That's what I think when people are like, oh, he's so smart, oh, he thinks he has an high IQ. No, or like, oh, just because he's smart doesn't mean he's a good person. Well, look what happens when you judge people on just morals over ability. You get cronyism, and I don't know if there's a way out from... There's no real right answer. There's better answers, but... You know, fear of conflict. Whether it's I have to lose or you have to lose. No one should have to lose. And yet someone always does lose. Just because someone wins. And someone's always winning. Somewhere. Look at this track. Isn't it beautiful? When I saw it, it was like love at first sight. Yeah, like first of all, that jump, whew, that's crazy. Then we got that bit from Sand Ocean in here. And we're gonna have this turn, but look at the top right. How do you think that's going to happen exactly without me banging a wall? It's not. Unless I just like literally break the car, but then they're gonna catch up with me and somehow go blast through it. So I don't know if I can chance that. So yeah, no. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, what if I just continue going? You know, I only have so many lives. I better just ride it out, because if I don't win anyway, what's it matter? This is the last track. Just put it all in it. Put it all in it. It's not like Midway when, like, the number of lives does matter a little more, because you're trying to save it for the last track. Well, this is the last track. Time to use them all. Got to use it. I'm gonna have to brake, though. Okay, maybe not that much. Alright, let me see if I can deal with 50% health. Maybe just a little bit. Yeah. I used to have a fear of not having romance, but apparently the chemicals inside that brain had other ideas and decided, you don't need those chemicals anymore. I'm like, well, that's not fun. What about stuff like pleasure and desire? Do I not get to experience those things, Mr. Human Body?
No. No, you do not.
Well, that's not cool.
No, it isn't.
Especially if your body temperature was never regular in the first place. Yeah. Yeah, apparently for much of my life, I was just frozen as a stone. And I didn't realize how cold I even was. Very, very cold. Like everything cold, you know? Or maybe, yeah, it's not because I thought everything was cold, it was because everything that was mildly warm was too hot for me, you know? maybe you could have thought I was cold-blooded or something, but no, there was just a regulation problem. How does it make sense? Wouldn't you want to know? But the regulation problem is part of what makes humans warm-blooded, or any mammal warm-blooded, actually, as it turns out. I think. You should take what I say with a grain of sand. But, okay, this is funny. So, I say things sometimes, and then some people who are smart enough, who are actually listening to me, are like, hey, wait a minute, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Except, they don't know I put another layer in there so that I say things like that anyway, regardless of what you think, because there are a lot of things I do know that you're not going to learn if you just assume everything I say is a lie, so... And it's not even like it was totally a lie, either. It's what I think happens to be the case. That's just how science is. There's going to be a lot of information you have wrong that you have to constantly correct. And, you know, you have to be some level of confident or communicate that. Otherwise, no one actually talks to you. But you don't want to be not... You don't want to be too confident, right? Okay. That was kind of a 60%, maybe 65. Yeah. I want to say that was 65 to 70% right in there. Maybe 67%. Looks like a solid 2/3, huh? 66.66666666666. Basically, this is hell. And the number represents Satan. Well, except that's 616, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody what the real number is. It's just funnier if we just make all the numbers the same one. Haha. Who believes in that 666 crap anyway? I mean, it's funny, but also, like, yeah. I mean, when I played Doom, I saw the version history, and one of those versions is 1.666 before it's finally ending at 1.9 with Ultimate Doom. It's just like, haha. They did it on purpose the moment they got to like 1.6 and like, yeah, we thought it'd be fun for a laugh, and they're like, okay. And it was funny, and it was good, and we all had a great time. Time of our lives, we did. Unless even Gaming Wolf can be a douchebag, even so. I think I'm going to chance getting hit since I have enough health, my good man. Let's get ahead of this bastard. Okay, cool. I will take the 3rd place. Just get the hell out of here. Still got a long ways to go, man. Oh dear. All right, we can try for 2nd at least. I don't know what 1st place guy is. Kind of wish they'd show that in the map. I mean, the 3 other races that actually matter. But alas, we saved such technologies for Mario 64 and actually, no, they can't have that many dots in F-Zero X. They wouldn't have been like, oh yes, we've covered it in 30 dots. That's too many dots. More dots than you're willing to deal with. ... Then he proceeds to kick yourself in, and you speed away, and you go, and you speed, and you go, and you speed. Speed up. Yeah. So just like in the original game, we end on Firefield. Unlike F-Zero Stage 1, in which we ended on Meat City 3, and Firefield was like the dragon with an agenda of that tracker. Now he's the true villain once again. Haha. But again, I do not have a score total that says what's my thing over. I mean, maybe my score points would help you, but then you have to realize if you die a few times, you could accumulate more points, so you shouldn't rely on my score count either. So yeah, nothing that says, hey, you got 1st place overall. No, there's nothing like that. Just to tell you how you finished at the end. That's all they care about. So did you qualify? Then yes, be at least rank 3. Boom, done. There's no trophies given out. There's no like leaderboard. You've survived F-Zero. That's how it goes. And
that's what they all said to me. They said,
Well, you're the best. The best around. And I'm like, yes, I am. The best.
so what's one more fear? Let's get one more fear out there. While these credits are going. Okay, instead of a fear, let's talk about something else. Something that happens when you watch the end of when you watch a movie until you get to the end. You ever have that feeling where you get to the end of the movie and you're like, oh man, my immersion's gone. It's all over. And then you get up and like, oh yeah, I have a life to live. So that's probably what you're feeling at the end of this right now. There's nothing here for you. You have to keep going. Watch something else. Maybe someone else will be there for you. It's a problem if it's not worth watching more than once. Then again, you might not even heard the whole thing. You might have just been watching certain parts in which you need to understand what I did. That's perfectly fine. I'm proud of you using this as reference material. The way I intended. Or anyone's god or anybody who you might believe in intends. Someone's intention. But there's not always intention. There's not always reason. There's not always an explanation. At least not one you can have. There's probably an explanation for everything, but it's virtually impossible for you to know what all those explanations are in your lifetime. I'm Game Wolf, and this has been a solemn end to another F-Zero hack.